Hello there, this is Miss McCauley, and in this video, part 1, you will learn how to find the area of a trapezoid. Okay, in finding the area of a trapezoid, if you were to scan this lesson and maybe predict 2 things that you would learn about finding the area of a triangle, you are going to hopefully discover a couple of different things. You're going to see how we use the order of operations. Okay, so we're going to say how to use the order of operations. And how to use the dimensions to find the area. So how we use the dimensions of the trapezoid to find the area. Those are the things we're going to learn about. Let's look at a real-life application of finding the area of a trapezoid. Kiana has a bay window in her room. A bay window means it sort of sticks out from the front. The window seat is in the shape of a trapezoid. Sometimes you have a seat in front of your window. She needs to measure the seat in order to sew a cushion for the seat. The blue trapezoid in the diagram below represents the dimensions of the window seat. Use the diagram below to describe the relationship between trapezoids and rectangles. So let's look at this. Okay, this is like a rectangle right here, if you were to look around the entire shape, and this is the trapezoid. So let's look at base 1. Okay, base 1 would be this up here for the trapezoid. How many units is it? 1, 2, 3. So we would write 3 here. Base 2 is down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. Okay, so we would write 5 for base 2. The height of the trapezoid is going to be 1, 2, 3. So we would write 3 here. Now let's look at the entire rectangle and see what the length and the width of the rectangle. The length of the rectangle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The length is 8 and the height is 1, 2, 3 still. Okay, what is the relationship between the measures of the rectangle and the measures of the triangle? Well, you could look at this and try to figure this out. You could say, well, the height is the same. Okay, so the height of the trapezoid and the height of the rectangle are the same. The two bases, if you add them together, would equal the length of the rectangle. So that's something that you could write. So the two bases equal the length of the rectangle. The height is the same. How is the area of a trapezoid related to the area of the rectangle? Well, you should remember the area of the rectangle is length times width, right? Equals length times width, so it would equal 8 times 3, which is 24. Well, what about the triangle? I'm sorry, the trapezoid. What would we say about that? That's kind of challenging, isn't it? You could say that there are 2 trapezoids here. If you look, 1 trapezoid here and 1 trapezoid here. Two trapezoids make up 1 rectangle, so the area of the trapezoid should be half of the area of the rectangle. So you can say 2 trapezoids equal a rectangle. So the area of 1 trapezoid is half of the rectangle. Okay, make sure you've written all of this down, and then when you finish, go ahead and go to your next page. Okay, it's time for our buddy Stuart, scuba diving squirrel, to join us, and he is going to give you the definition of the area of a trapezoid.
Hi, I'm Stuart, and I like to scuba dive. This place looks pretty cold, though. It's Juneau, Alaska. Anyway, let's get back to those trapezoids we were talking about. Let me tell you the definition for the area of a trapezoid. The area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the product of the height and the sum of the bases.
Stuart. One way that you can write this is area equals 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. Okay, so let's look at this trapezoid over here. This kind of looks like a bed. You have base 1, base 2, and your height. You would need to multiply. You need to first add the two bases together, because remember with order of operations we would do the parentheses first. Add those together, times that times the height, and then times it by 1/2. Okay, so you can read this for a little bit more help. The trapezoid has two bases, B1 and B2. The height is the distance between the bases, so it'll usually always be marked like this on a diagram with a little h. When finding the area of a trapezoid, it is important to follow the order of operations. In the formula, the bases are to be added before multiplying 1/2 of the height h. If you are not familiar with what I'm talking about with the order of operations, let me write that down for you, because that is something that we actually learn in Unit 4. So it will come. So some of you who are taking this geometry class in the first semester may not have this yet, but hopefully you've seen it before in other grades. The order of operations can be written P, E, M, or D, A, or S. You might be familiar with PEMDAS, or Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, or Pink Elephants Must Dance and Sing, or Place Evil Monkeys Down a Sewer. Any of the ways that you can remember this would be helpful. But I'm going to just give you this little cheat sheet. P stands for parentheses. We always do those first. E stands for exponents, so like 2 to the 3rd power, we would do that second. Here we multiply or divide whatever comes first, and then we add or subtract whatever comes first from left to right. So when you are solving a trapezoid problem, you would parentheses first, no exponents, then you would multiply times the height and the 1/2. Okay, so that's what you should do always. Let's look at an example. Oops, let's see, I don't want to do that because I don't want to mess up your order of operations there. So let's just move this over here and then look at an example. Okay, let's find the area of this trapezoid. You can see that it has a height of 7, base 1 of 5, base 2 of 12. So plug in all of the information into the formula. So we would write area equals 1/2 times the height times B1 plus B2. So B1 plus B2 is 5 plus 12. The height is 7, and then we multiply by 1/2. So here we have 1/2 times 7 times 17, where we got 17 by adding 5 plus 12. Remember, 1/2 is also equal to 0.5. Remember that from when we did triangles? 1/2 is equal to 0.5 as a decimal. It is much easier to multiply by 0.5 sometimes if you're using your calculator than to multiply by the fraction. The area would be 59.5 square inches. Again, since we're talking about area, the units should be squared. Okay, go ahead and go to your next page as soon as you are ready. Let's do another example. Here we have a trapezoid, and it has a base 1 of 7, a base 2 of 12, and a height of 9.8. Plug everything into your formula, so you write 1/2 times the height, which is 9.8, times the quantity of base 1, which is 7, plus the quantity of 12, which is base 2. The first thing we should do is add 7 plus 12 and get 19. 19 times 9.8 times 1/2. Remember what we said, we can change this 1/2 to 0.5 and simply multiply on our calculator, and we would get 93.1. The area is 93.1 square meters. Now I would like you to try A, B, and C on your own. Please make sure you show your work, and then when you have finished, you may listen to Stuart give you the answers, okay? There really isn't anything tricky about any of these. They're all labeled with the 2 bases and the height, so please try to come up with your best answers here, and then we'll have Stuart come back and give you the right answers. Go ahead and answer the 3 questions that were given at the end of the part 1 video. You may answer them in the note check or write in your note sheet, and then show your teacher the answers. You'll also be able to check your answers in the part 2 video at the beginning.